Բարև ձեզ։ Այսօր կզրուցեմ Հայաստանում ԵՄ դեսպան Vassilis Maragosի հետ. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you for the invitation.
Well, the EU-Armenia Visa Liberalization Action Plan has been officially handed over to Armenia. Beyond simply offering the opportunity for visa-free travel, what key changes does the plan include?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to Armenians around the globe about this very important process. It's a process which has been launched last year. There was a decision by the member states of the European Union back in July 2024. The process of visa liberalization dialogue was launched in September, 9th of September 2024, when former Vice President of the European Commission, Margaritis Chinas, visited Armenia. By the way, we were talking earlier about Greece, about Thessaloniki. He comes from Thessaloniki, and when he was here, he remarked that Thessaloniki is closer to Yerevan than it is to Brussels. So what I want to stress is that this is part of a process of getting closer between the European Union and Armenia, and to make this partnership even more strong, we have launched the visa liberalization dialogue. It is a process which has now passed its first cycle, its first phase, with the presentation of the visa liberalization action plan. Huge work has been put into the preparation of this action plan. We have had assessment visits, we have had dialogue events with the Armenian authorities, and we are very pleased that now it is very clear what the Armenian authorities have to implement in order to secure visa-free regime for the Armenian citizens, and we are now working on the implementation of this plan.
As you mentioned, the dialogue has started in 2024. And what are the technical and political requirements that Armenia still needs to implement?
The visa liberalization action plan is actually very similar to different action plans that we have presented in the past in similar cases of visa-free dialogue. But it is adapted to the Armenian situation. So it is about reforms that Armenia has to implement in the area of document security. We are talking here about biometric passports. In the area of border management, movement of people, migration management, protection of personal data. This will be another very important requirement to fulfill, but also requirements in the area of the rule of law and fight against corruption, but also working on safe movement of people and fundamental rights.
I'm sure that people in Armenia and also people living in the Armenian diaspora are very interested that how long might it take to achieve visa liberalization finally? Like, for example, it took Georgia about 5 years to receive it.
Yeah. On the one side, it is good to compare with other cases, but on the other side, every case is different. So I really believe that it depends on the Armenian authorities, it depends on the Armenian people, on the efficiency of the institutions, how long it will take. I can explain the technicalities of this process. So this process is a process which is led by the European Commission, but the member states of the European Union are very much in the lead. So we are talking about reforms which have to be thorough, sustainable, and reforms which would not only include legal changes, for instance, the adoption of a law or a decree or a regulation, but we are also talking about the implementation. So it depends very much how fast the Armenian authorities are going to implement this action plan. What is important is that the quality of the dialogue is really of a very high level. And also what I want to stress, also for the benefit of of our audience, is that there is a very strong commitment on the side of the authorities and very high level of competence in addressing those issues. One important element which will define, in my opinion, the quality of the implementation is the ownership of these reforms.
So you think that the time frame for Armenia might be different, not the same as it was in Georgia or other countries?
I think the time frame of Armenia will be defined by the commitment, the ownership, but also the time which will be taken by Armenia, by the Armenian institutions, not only the government, but also the parliament, to implement those reforms. We have published the action plan. The action plan is very straightforward when it comes to the reforms which need to be implemented. I think that now we have to wait to see how long it will take to implement the reforms. And then I want to stress this as well, that the member states of the European Union will be looking very carefully to the quality of the implementation of these reforms. But on the other side, when the reforms will be implemented, there is a very strong momentum, a very strong political commitment to move forward towards the visa-free regime. This is very important not only for Armenia, but also for strengthening the links between people on both sides of the border, on the European Union side and on the Armenian side. And I'm sure that this will also be a tool which will strengthen even more the capacity of families to meet together, to travel, to get to know the European Union. And this is going to be beneficial for EU-Armenia relations.
What opportunities do you think that Armenian people and overall the society will gain from these reforms?
We are talking about reforms which have to do with strengthening Armenia's rule of law. We are talking about reforms which will, for instance, make the Armenian passports much more safe through the biometric data which will be included in the new passports. And we are talking about border management. We are talking also about protection of personal data. Protection of personal data is a very important principle that we share, not only within the European Union, but also within the Council of Europe, which is, as you know, an organization Armenia participates in. So we are talking about movement of people in a more safe and secure environment. But foremost, I want to say that the Armenian people are going to benefit from visa-free regime because they will travel much more easier than now to the European Union. We have already a visa facilitation agreement, but with a visa-free regime, we will not need visas anymore for short-term travels, up to 90 days every 6 months, which means that it will be much easier to travel for tourism, for business purposes, but just to meet families and to spend some time to meet people, to visit cultural sites. This is certainly going to be very beneficial.
Mr. Ambassador, overall, where do Armenia-EU relations stand today? As also during her recent visit, EU High Representative Kaya Kala stated that Armenia and the EU have never been this close. How close are Armenia and the EU now?
We have a very close partnership. You know that we have signed an agreement back in 2017. It entered into force in 2021. This is the comprehensive and enhanced partnership agreement. But I have to say the last 2-3 years we have seen an increase in the cooperation, in the partnership. We have more cooperation in the area of security. An EU mission of observers is currently present in Armenia, monitoring the borders, helping on human security, being present on the ground in the border areas. I think this is a very important element of our joint cooperation. And then we have much more cooperation in the area of economic issues. We are helping to strengthen Armenia's economy, the resilience of this economy. Just to give you an example, last year we have helped through our private sector programs, we have helped more than 12,000 small and medium-sized enterprises with access to finance, with cashback support as well. And this has created more than 20,000 jobs in Armenia.
So as I understood, the connection and the collaboration is more deeply in the economic sphere?
In the economic sphere, in the sphere of reforms, we are also helping to create new, more sustainable institutions. I can give you two more examples. For instance, the European Union has supported the creation of the new Ministry of Internal Affairs and the creation of the patrol police. I was very proud to visit the patrol police headquarters, but also we have provided cars for the patrol police. Not all the cars, but we have participated in the investment. So one part of these very, let's say, professional and very modern cars which are used by the patrol police are funded by the European taxpayer. And this is very good because we strengthen in this way the service principles of the Armenian police, but also we are giving the sense to the people that the state stands by them. And another big area where we are investing very much in Armenia is the infrastructure. We have now projected investments of more than 2.5 billion euros. Part of it is already implemented, part of it is either signed or about to be signed, and we are talking about investments in the green transition, in the infrastructure of roads. For instance, the new road between Gyumri and Yerevan has been co-funded by the European Union, and we are preparing a major investments together with the government of the Sizan-Kajaran part of the southern road, which will bring actually Syunik, very important for Armenia, Syunik province, much closer to the rest of the country. By the way, we are also investing in the resilience of Syunik, and there we are talking about investments in small infrastructure, in social infrastructure, but also again in the economic area, in small and medium-sized enterprises.
You also mentioned that the EU also supports Armenia in terms of security. And as we know, since 2023, the EU monitoring mission has been operating in Armenia. How would you assess the mission's work so far?
I have to say that I'm very impressed by the result of this mission. And this is known and appreciated by all the Armenian people, in particular those which have been affected by the conflict and still they are traumatized by the situation on the ground. So the mission is present, through its presence on the ground, we have helped to move to a new phase, I believe, I hope, a new phase of peace and normalization. But what is important is that the people sense this presence. I have visited the mission several times, and I have seen how much the people on the ground, you know, farmers, people who work on the street, when the observers are passing, the monitors are passing, when they see the European flags, they stop, they salute them, they talk about their concerns. And this is, I think, a very important element of people-to-people contacts and an important element of the solidarity that the European Union is showing to Armenia. We are supporting Armenia's sovereignty, we are supporting Armenia's territorial integrity, but what is important is that this is personified with people on the ground, and the people on the ground, the people at the border areas, see this on a daily basis.
Are there any intentions to extend the mission's work in Armenia? Because as we know, according to the adopted decision, its mandate expires in 2027.
We have not started discussing about what will happen as regards EU civilian presence. I have to stress that this mission is a civilian mission, it is an unarmed mission, but still through its presence is strengthening the sense of security of the people, and this is part of its mandate. So we have not yet started discussing about the future after 2027. I want to clarify that this mission is there because of the request of the Armenian authorities. And of course, it's probably too early to discuss about future. But what is important is that the mission continues to do its job, continues to patrol. By the way, I think in a couple of days they are going to reach the 7,000 patrol. The very important and impressive number. I have to say that the professionalism of these observers is really remarkable, and it is helping to strengthen this sense of solidarity that I already mentioned.
And we know that there is also the peace process between Armenia and Azerbaijan. How do you think that this process will affect Armenia-EU relations?
For the European Union, peace is the cornerstone of our DNA. The European Union has been created, as you know, as a peace project after the end of the Second World War, and it has been very successful in this respect, in particular by ending the enmity between countries like France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and so on. And actually, throughout these years, through the enlargements, the successive enlargements of the European Union, we have extended this area of peace and prosperity and cooperation. So it is very important for us that we also see peace and cooperation and connectivity here in South Caucasus. We have been supporting this process for quite some time. We have also welcomed the initialing of the peace agreement, which happened this summer in Washington, D.C. It's a very important and significant process. I understand that for many Armenians and also for many people in the diaspora, peace is a very important good to achieve, a very important aspiration, and they want to see more happening on the ground. We are working now to make sure that this is also felt. The government of Armenia is talking about institutionalization of peace. They are working tirelessly on that. And from our side, we are ready to support this through the mobilization of our tools, financial tools, projects, connectivity projects, but also bringing the parties together. And we are actually discussing about the different elements of that. There was recently the Black Sea strategy, which was adopted by the European Union. We want Armenia to be part of this process. And there were numerous ministerial meetings already taking place. A further conference on intra-regional interconnectivity is going to take place next week in Uzbekistan, because it is very important as well that we see this connectivity not only limited in this region, but also bringing China, the Middle Corridor, Central Asia, and Europe together. And I believe that Armenia is going to play a very important role in this, and we are ready to support this. The interconnectivity is not only about infrastructure, it is also about bringing communities together, creating value chains which make the benefits of peace and cooperation visible to every Armenian, to every person who is part of this link which exists and will be strengthened between the different countries.
And could we say that this new situation in the region and also in Armenia will increase the interest, EU interest in Armenia?
Listen, the EU interest in Armenia is very high, and we enjoy a partnership which is very rich in very, very concrete areas. I mentioned already some of them. There is a very strong commitment and a very strong sharing of common values between the European Union and Armenia. In a couple of days, we are going to have in Brussels the next Partnership Council at ministerial level. You mentioned High Representative Kallas, Foreign Minister Misoyan as well will be there. And I think that there is a very strong commitment on both sides, actually, to make this partnership even more beneficial for both. And we have been negotiating a new partnership agenda. This partnership agenda is going to be adopted in this meeting. And this will create also new opportunities in all the areas that we have been mentioning, the area of security, where we are discussing about how to strengthen Armenia's sovereignty, Armenia's capacity to provide for this human security that the citizens expect. For instance, we have opened, as you know, the European Peace Facility for non-lethal, but still very significant support to the Armenian armed forces. This is something that we are implementing now. We are also supporting Armenia's security sector reforms. This is also an important new area of cooperation. the visa liberalization dialogue with the reforms, but also with the final outcome is going also to strengthen this partnership. And when it comes to economy and connectivity, I believe that the opportunities of this new situation will certainly strengthen our cooperation, but also the possibility for European companies to participate in this process, Armenian companies to export much more to the European Union, and this will create even more sustainable opportunities for employment and for the Armenian economy.
Thank you for the interview, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Շնորհակալություն.
Հարգելի հեռուստադիտողներ, հիշեցնեմ, որ ես զրուցում էի Հայաստանում ԵՄ դեսպան Վասիլիս Մարագոսի հետ։ Այսօր այսքանը, հաջողություն։